Good morning everyone. This is Kamikawa Kaolin. Lie like exhaling, is this, it is a word that accurately expresses the state of ghetto, telling lies without any confusion. Last time, Heidman, Sotnikova, Naoya Tomita, Paralympic Judo, I introduced examples such as unjustified threats and harassment of Koreans are not limited to foreigners. Among Koreans, power harassment and sexual harassment are rampant among the same Koreans and relatives. We are crushing ourselves. This is exactly the reason why it is called Gaido. The impact of habitual sexual assault on gold medalists. Why is power harassment constant in the Korean sports world? I will introduce an article from Sports Seoul under the title. Last year, women's wrestling, women's gymnastics, etc. Power harassment and assault cases were also attracting attention in the Japanese sports world. In the Korean sports world, it is not that ratio, it is carried out as an assault or sexual harassment by a leader. The beginning of the matter was the accusation of Shim Suk-hee, the Korean national team for short track speed skating. Shim Suk-hee won 1 gold, 1 silver and 1 bronze medal at the 2014 Sochi Olympics. She won the gold medal at the women's 3,000 meters relay at the Pyeongchang Olympics last year. She has been regarded as a signboard player for short track speed skating, which is a Korean specialty. Such Shim Suk-hee is on January 8, 2019, from former coach Cho Jae-bom, who has been instructed since the first grade of elementary school. She revealed that she had been habitually sexually assaulted. This is not the first time that the damage of Shim Suk-hee has been revealed. January 2018, just before the Pyeongchang Olympics at the Olympic Village, the National Training Center in South Korea, Shim Suk-hee from former coach Cho Jae-bom, it became clear that he had been severely reprimanded and assaulted, which was a big problem. Former coach Cho Jae-bom was permanently expelled due to this incident. In the first instance, which was charged with addiction disorder, he was sentenced to 10 months in prison. However, Shim Suk-hee decided that the sentence was insufficient and appealed. Appeals are still underway. When Shim Suk-hee attended the second trial of the appeals court as a witness, she revealed that she had been sexually assaulted, as well as reprimanded and abused. Her sexual assault lasted about 4 years from the summer of 2014 when she was a high school girl to just before the Pyeongchang Olympics. The state-managed Olympic Village, Jincheon Village, Korea National Sport University skating rink, etc. It was said that it was done everywhere. Let's take a look at the video interviewed by the British BBC on January 21, 2021.
The world of elite speed skating here in South Korea has been rocked by allegations of physical and sexual abuse. This is a country that has won 24 Olympic gold medals, but now the standards, the quality of the coaching is being brought into question. 5 women have come forward and raised their voices. We've been speaking to one of them anonymously.
I was in my first year at high school, 16 years old. It was at a public space at an ice rink. My coach hugged me and kissed me. He would call me into a separate room, alone, and touch me. He texted me "I love you" and asked me to go to a movie theater or have dinner. It lasted for 2 years and then I left the team.
What did you think then? What was going through your brain?
I felt dirty, but I couldn't say no to his face because I thought my life as an athlete would end if I left him or said no to him. The pressure was harsh. I was beaten heavily in elementary school. Beaten by badminton rackets or the plastic cover for skate blades. Honestly, sexual harassment is a problem, but violence is a bigger problem. However, in skating, it's a given that you'd be beaten. It would have been considered strange if we reported it.
What do you want to see happen to the man involved?
I tried not to blame him, but looking back, I realized I quit skating because of him. He is bad-mouthing me now while continuing his normal life. I want him to suffer as much as I do.
It all started last year when medalist Shim Suk-hee came forward. She said she had been beaten by her coach. Now Miss Shim has come forward to say she was sexually abused. And she's not the only one. Stars from the world of judo, from the worlds of tennis and football have all come forward to say they too were physically or sexually abused. Now, Seoul in South Korea might look glitzy and dynamic, but it remains a patriarchal society. It is difficult for women to question, especially men in power. But things are beginning to change. The Me Too movement is taking hold. And that is because a brave few women have decided to come forward with their stories.
It happened over and over again in Korea. People spoke out, it got swept under the rug, and perpetrators acted again. Maybe now is the time for a real change. Maybe we can ensure there won't be any more victims.
There might be other women watching who've suffered like you have. What message would you give them?
I would like to tell them that we shouldn't think that it is our fault. We should seek help, let others know, and report on it. Don't suffer alone.
Olympic gold medalist accusations are spreading ripples, even in the real-time search term ranking of Korea's largest portal site, Naver. Shim Suk-hee was at the top. There is constant follow-up in the media. Witnesses' testimony that there are 2 or more victims is also of interest. In 2018, the #MeToo movement spread in the Korean entertainment and political world. Fan Daegan, an active high school girl cheerleader who has been gaining popularity as an idol recently, she was complaining of sexual harassment from the internet people. This time, the sexual harassment problem is spreading in the skating world. However, the Korean media view that the case of Shim Suk-hee is just the tip of the iceberg. In fact, in the Korean skating world, power harassment and sexual harassment by leaders have been occurring one after another. If the writer's memory is correct, the damage was first revealed in the short track world in 2004. 6 athletes, including the 2006 Turin Olympic gold medalist Pyong Jung-sa, he revealed that he was being beaten by the coaches on a daily basis. After that, similar accusations continued. The incident that happened in 2014 was also taken up by Shocking. A college coach had been sexually assaulting a minor player for 2 years. The athlete had broken her ribs by kicking her belly to prevent her from becoming pregnant. Just the other day, the 2002 Salt Lake City Olympic gold medalist Joo Min-jin, she was accused of Shim Suk-hee and she confessed, "I was the same." Moreover, such damage is serious because it is not limited to the skating world. According to the research results released in 2016 by the Institute of Sports Sciences of Seoul National University, about 38% of athletes have been abused, intimidated or assaulted. It is said that it has increased by about 10 points in 4 years from 2012, 28.6%. It happened just before the World Championships in Japan last year. The sexual harassment of the women's volleyball national team, it happened within the coaching staff. There is no doubt that power harassment and assault are widespread in the Korean sports world. The reason why such power harassment and sexual harassment are constant is it may not be unrelated to the performance supremacy of the Korean sports world. When entering the world of sports in South Korea, it was different from studying from an early age. Exposed to fierce competition for survival. You can go on to university only if you have a track record such as winning medals at various competitions. You can go on the path of a businessman team or a professional. If you become a professional player or a representative player whose position and income depend on the result, the pressure on grades is even greater. It's easy to imagine that it's difficult for players to go against their leaders. Sometimes the relationship between leaders and athletes changes from teacher-apprentice relationship to hierarchical relationship. In the worst case, it may become a master-slave relationship. Even if they are violent, they often cry and fall asleep. Korean media also received the case of Shim Suk-hee. The supremacy of results gave birth to the devil, sports kyogo. In any case, power harassment and assault by constant leaders in the Korean sports world. The Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism of Korea announced that the day after Shim Suk-hee's accusation, January 9, 2019, to eradicate sexual violence in the sports world, strengthening punishment, special investigation, victim support team composition, we announced measures such as preparation of preventive measures. I am amazed at the fact that the fact of sexual assault was only known after receiving the news. Shim Suk-hee is in court. He is receiving psychiatric treatment for stress disorders, depression, panic disorders, sleep disorders, etc. The same is true for my father, he said of suffering. Power harassment and assault by leaders is not only the athlete's life, sometimes even life is swung around. The Korean sports world takes that fact very seriously. Measures should be taken thoroughly so as not to increase the number of victims anymore. In response to this, the Korea Sports Ethics Center and the Korea Women's Human Rights Institute announced on November 30, 2020. At the Sports Ethics Center Business Agreement (MO) to prevent sexual harassment and sexual violence in the sports world and support victims was concluded. At this seat, Lee Suk-jin, chairman of the Sports Ethics Center, after the Sports Ethics Center was established, we are doing our best to improve the human rights of the sports world and to protect and support victims and whistleblowers. This time, through a business agreement with the Women's Human Rights Institute of Korea, we will make continuous efforts to prevent sexual violence and protect victims of gymnasts. Director Park Bon-young-suk, sexual violence within an organization is caused by status and is concealed or concealed. It shows the characteristic that it is easy to be reduced, and it is difficult for the victim to make his own voice. For a long time, to improve the human rights of women and support victims of sexual harassment and sexual violence. Share the accumulated experience with the center. We will help prevent sexual harassment and sexual violence in the physical education world and support victims. In South Korea, where it is said that if others do it, it's affair, if you do it, it's romance. It is doubtful how much this word can be believed. If I had time to chase the comfort women 75 years ago, my problems in front of me, my reality, am I the only one who thinks, why don't you look first? Lie like exhaling, the Japanese, and people all over the world, should never forget this word. Don't be fooled by Korean lies. That's all.